Americans and citizens of the UK. We have a new epidemic, folks. A new epidemic? Oof. Quiet quitting. Why doing the bare minimum at work has gone global? The meaninglessness of modern work and the pandemic has led many to question their approach to their jobs. Now, I am someone that's never had, like, a corporate job. The only jobs I've ever had have been, like, you know, just random shit under the table, helping people in my community, like, you know, that kind of stuff. So I've never actually filled out, like, a fucking W-2 or whatever the fuck that shit is. So I don't have much experience here, but what I can say is I love this. I love the idea of people doing the bare minimum. Work is not your life. If you let work define you, your life is over before it even began. And I cite throughout history, the mass amounts of people that hit retirement age, right? Like, there are people that retire, and then they spend like a year, maybe 2 years retiring, in retirement, and then they get another job because they have nothing to do. They spent 40 years working, 50 years working, never developed any hobbies, right? They don't have really that, they lost touch with all their friend groups, right? They retire and they're like, oh shit, finally I retired. They get bored, they have nothing to do because work was their whole life. Work is prison. Work is prison. You should not want to put any extra effort into work unless, you know, you're someone that works for yourself. You work in a creative like, you know, your work is like you write books or whatever, you draw or you create art, or like, you know, you're a producer on a film, or like you're a fucking, you know, whatever, that kind of shit, right? That's the kind of work that we need to be striving for. If you're working it with McDonald's, come on now, be as slow as possible, right? Just annoy the shit out of your boss as much as you can without getting fired. If you're working at a stupid fucking call center, Jesus Christ, right? Don't put any extra time and effort into that. If you're working in an area, in a field that you actually like, that's fine, right? But most people, they work in what we call bullshit jobs that shouldn't even exist in the first place and certainly aren't fulfilling. So anyway, let's read this. This is from The Guardian. Bartleby is back, although no doubt he would prefer not to be. I don't know this reference because I'm an American. This time, Herman Melville Reductant has returned in the form of TikTokers who have embraced quiet quitting. Rather than working late on a Friday evening, organizing at the annual team building trip to Slough, or volunteering to supervise the boss's teenager on work experience, the quiet quitters are avoiding the above and beyond, the hustle culture mentality, or what psychologists call occupational citizenship behaviors. Instead, they're doing just enough at the office to keep up, then leaving work on time and muting Slack, then posting about it on social media. Once again, if anybody calls you when you're not on the clock, do not answer the phone. Don't decline the call. Just let it ring. Sorry, I was sleeping. Sorry, my phone was in the other room. Sorry. Don't call them back. If your boss is calling you, right, it should be like a payphone, right? You must give me like at least 50 cents for me to pick up the phone, and then an additional 25 cents per 30 seconds, per 10 seconds that I'm on the phone with you. Then maybe I'll consider answering the fucking phone. Reel on N. 14 czars. 14 czars, everybody. We got 14 czars. That equivalent to $10. Thank you, Relon, for the money in the tip jar. Yay! Maria Kordowicz, an associate professor in organizational behavior at the University of Nottingham and director of its Centre for Interprofessional Education and Learning, said the rise in quiet quitting is linked to a noticeable fall in job satisfaction. Gallup's Global Workplace Report for 2022 showed, now this is interesting, only 9% of workers in the UK were engaged or enthusiastic about their work, ranking 33rd out of 38 European countries. Now again, this is The Guardian, this is UK-centric, but there's a lot of overlap. 9% of people that have a job care about their job? That's crazy. That's so low. Since the pandemic, people's relationship with work has been studied in many ways, and the literature typically across the professions would argue that yes, people's way of relating to their work has changed. TikTok posts about quiet quitting have been inspired by Chinese social media. Hashtag Tang Ping or lying flat is a now censored hashtag, apparently prompted by China's shrinking workforce and long hours culture. Core Dowicks added, the search for meaning has become far more apparent. Now again, I just want to say, I would treat work like I would treat school. It's a prison. You are mandated by capitalism to be there for that period of time. It's a prison. You are being enslaved for that period of time in order to live. Why do you go to work? So you can pay rent. Why do you want to pay rent? So you have a house to live under? What else do you use your money for? To buy food. Why do you need to buy food? So that you can live. I don't know, man. Sounds a little weird to me, right? So why should people enjoy work? Especially if it's a meaningless bullshit fucking job. So, I don't know, you can read the rest of this, but I just wanted to talk about this for a little bit. This article just goes in specific examples of people on TikTok or whatever. I don't really care about TikTok. But again, if you work in a field that you genuinely love, that's great. I'm happy for you. But most people don't. Right? And most people, I would say, they can get by. You know what? Don't be thinking about work. As soon as you close that car door in the parking lot or wherever you're working at, right? And as soon as you like put that key in the ignition and you start driving home, fuck work. You're not on the clock. Stop fucking thinking about it. That's my opinion. People need to be focusing on themselves. Get a hobby, right? You know, find a new friend group. Watch a couple movies. Catch up on a TV show you love. Play a couple video games, right? Do something that actually makes you happy. Do something that you can do when you're retired and there is no work anymore. Don't be one of those weirdos that's like, I'm going to retire and I'm going to go on a fishing trip and I'm going to live life. And then fucking 8 months later, they're applying to work at Applebee's at the ripe old age of 68 because they don't know what the fuck else to do with their lives because they spent 40 fucking 5 years developing nothing, right? Don't be like that person. Fuck your job. Your job sucks. As far as I'm concerned, it's a prison sentence to go to work, especially for in the United States. I know this is a UK-centric article, but especially in the United States, people working minimum wage, fuck that. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit, okay? Jesus Christ. If you're working minimum wage, your job sucks. Your job sucks, right? Your job fucking sucks, okay? And I don't care what the fucking job is. If you are working minimum wage in the US of A, you should not put any extra effort into that shit. My God. Anyway, there you go. Fuck work.